Greetings, my friend.
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnik Vogon Jeffs, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 2024 comic book movie debacle known as Madam Web. It's an action movie, I think, that stars Dakota Johnson as the titular Madam Web, Tahar Rahim as a low-budget evil Spider-Man, Isabella Merced as a Spider-Woman, Celeste O'Connor as a Spider-Woman, Adam Scott as Uncle Ben, no, the other one. Yep, that's him. And Sydney Sweeney as a, another Spider-Woman. Spoilers! This movie is terrible and I'm gonna spoil the whole thing.
No, you're making the wrong decision.
Madam Web is a Spider-Man movie that was so awful, everyone involved was compelled to distance the movie from the franchise before it was even released. This movie was so bad, it was retconned before anyone saw it. This movie is so terrible, it sits with the likes of Halle Berry's Catwoman, Shaquille O'Neal's Steel, and Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. Oh, right, my bad. Sorry. Madam Web is a Marvel character. Okay, let's try this again. This horrendous movie joins the likes of every Marvel movie since Endgame. That's right, they're all garbage. Even the TV shows. Trash. All of them. Let's get into it. These videos will always be sponsor free, so show your support with a like and subscribe to my channel. And check out my illustrated merch at the link in the description. It's 1973. Constance Webb.
Did you say Webb?
Yeah, her last name is Webb. Is pregnant and finds out her unborn daughter has some kind of fatal genetic defect or disease or... it really doesn't matter.
I need a cure.
I'm afraid there is no cure.
Her future daughter's life is in jeopardy, so she puts together a research team and heads to the jungles of Peru in search of a spider with miraculous healing properties. Something about peptides.
The peptides in the spider's venom.
Anyway, lo and behold, Constance finds the elusive Peruvian miracle spider, but is ambushed by her umbrella-carrying colleague, Ezekiel Sims, who mutters something about nobody caring when his family was starving. I don't know.
No one helped me when my family was starving.
He then shoots Constance, steals the spider, and runs off into the jungle like a little bitch. A group of treetop traveling Spider-Men in weird fetish gear show up a minute too late and attempt to save Constance by giving her a weird cave bath and letting a spider bite her chest. Turns out that wasn't super effective. Shocking, I know. But they do manage to save Constance's baby, all while giving some cryptic message about how she'll return to Peru when she's older, because she'll have questions and blah, 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 blah.
And when she does, I will be here for her.
Aren't you intrigued by the mysterious Spider-Man who can see into the future? No! Fine, never mind. Fast forward to 2003, and Constance's daughter, Cassandra, is now working as a paramedic in New York City.
Jesus.
She works with Peter Parker's Uncle Ben, who helps save her life after she gets trapped in a car and falls off of a bridge. The trauma of the incident defibrillates Cassie's prophetic visions and forces her to grapple with her mental state and whether or not she's losing her mind. Sorry, no, that would have happened in the competent version of this movie. That's not what happens here. Cassie just kind of goes with it.
I can see the future. Kind of.
Meanwhile, Ezekiel Sims, who is also now living in New York, is having prophetic dreams about being kicked out of a building after fighting 3 Spider-Women. So, naturally, he seduces a woman to gain access to some NSA surveillance app, hires a morally bankrupt computer whiz to track them down, and dons a budget Spider-Man costume to hunt them through the city. But he's constantly thwarted by Cassie, who uses her visions of the future to save her own ass, and reluctantly and half-heartedly protect the 3 future Spider-Women. She abandons them in a forest for hours, pawns them off on Ben, travels to Peru to have an out-of-body experience and realize her mom wasn't a complete bitch,
Thank you.
and ultimately has a lame showdown with Ezekiel at an abandoned fireworks factory where he gets crushed by a Pepsi sign. Oh yeah, and she gets hit by a stray firework after falling into the water, which permanently blinds and cripples her, for some reason.
Excuse me? Baking powder?
Cassie adopts the girls and becomes the Professor X of the Spider People. The end. Now, before I shit all over this movie, let's talk about a few things I actually liked. So, I like the general idea of this movie. The execution is another story altogether, but using Madam Web as a prequel to the Spider-Man movies isn't terrible. I kind of liked how Uncle Ben and Mary Parker showed up in the movie, although the scene where Ben won't divulge May's name, or the fact that Peter's name is never mentioned by Mary, just feels weird.
It's honestly like the least weird thing that's happened all day.
I'm glad there was at least some kind of an attempt at character development, at least with Cassie's character.
Oh, come on.
It's not well done or logical, but there is an arc that brings her from self-centered narcissist
We both hate family stuff.
to caring maternal adult.
They're all mine.
Kind of, in a weird way. Again, I'm not saying it was done well, but they tried, I guess. Adam Scott is all right. You know, he's got such an affable personality that it's hard to hate him, even when he pops up in garbage movies. I did find it weird that Mike Epps and Emma Roberts were both credited before him, despite the glaring disparity in screen time. I have my suspicions as to why this happened, but we'll just leave it as it being an odd choice. That's all. Just weird. Oh, and Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney. Did anybody involved in this movie actually want to be involved? Dakota Johnson specifically.
She's not going room temp on my one.
I haven't seen anything else she's been in, so maybe this is just how she acts?
Peptides. More peptides. Where is it?
But is it possible to look more uninterested in a role? I would argue that it is not. She's either a terrible actor
That does sound like me.
or knew this was going to be shit from the get-go. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, you know, she was just cashing a paycheck and I can't fault her for that. And Ezekiel Sims, the film's antagonist. Did they overdub every single one of his lines?
You have no idea of the torment and torture of dying over and over again.
The dubbing was so bad, I can only imagine what the original takes sounded like. It felt like I was watching a foreign movie every time this guy was on screen.
But in the future, they have powers.
Why would you hire this guy in the first place? Maybe they figured they had such a poorly developed villain anyway, they might as well fill the role with a poorly developed actor. Unbelievable. And Ezekiel's motivation? I mean, he's just a piece of shit, yeah? Like that's what makes him a bad guy, right? There was clearly some nod to his family's suffering prior to this story. He talks about how they starved, and then there's never a mention of them ever again. The rest of the movie is just him being afraid that what he's built, whatever the hell that is going to be taken from him, and his life is going to be cut short by the Spider-Girls. As far as one-dimensional villains go, this is pretty bad. The only thing that makes it better is that every other character in the movie is just as shallow.
I'm so sorry.
His assistant/computer whiz? What's her deal? No idea. Literally every character in this movie, other than Cassie, and that's me being generous, is a flat, uninteresting character with no redeeming qualities. Except for you, Sydney. Okay, let's talk about the inconsistent world building. I get it. The early 2000s is a tough time to nail down. It didn't have the distinctive qualities of the 80s or 90s, and it's a bit too close to the 2010s and 2020s in terms of style or overall aesthetic. But man, this was some lazy bullshit. The extent of effort being placed in landline phones with answering machines, a Beyoncé billboard, a Calvin Klein billboard, and a couple of tube TVs. Well done. Oh, and Toxic by Britney Spears. It's like I've been transported back in time. Ooh.
New York City's a whole new level of crazy these days.
Wait, hold on a minute. What the hell is this guy playing with? That's not a smartphone. We're like a decade too early for that. It could be something else, but knowing that this is a Sony movie, my bet is on it being one of their portable PlayStation systems. But the first PSP didn't release until 2004. Curious. Very curious. And the action? Where's the action? This is, despite the studio's best efforts to hide it, a Spider-Man prequel. It even features a pseudo-Spider-Man villain. And yet they decide to paywall 3 Spider-Women as mere glimpses of a possible future? We have to come back to the sequel that's never going to exist to see them again? It's arachnid blue balls at an unforgivable level. You had 3 attractive young women that you could have had running around in skin-tight spider suits for 2 hours, and instead you opted to have a fully dressed Madam Web go ghost mode at a fireworks factory? A fireworks factory! Are you out of your fucking mind? It takes a special team of idiots to pull off this kind of cinematic self-immolation. Who the hell directed this landfill-bound refuse anyway? Oh, just someone who has never directed a major motion picture before? Ah, okay, this is starting to make sense. I don't even want to mention the whole Pepsi sign horseshit finale thing again. It's been done to death, no pun intended. If you've heard anything about this movie, you've heard about the Pepsi sign, and there's no sense beating a dead horse. But here's a question. What the hell happened to Los Araños guy?
Spider people. Las Arañas.
The mythical spider people who run across the treetops and punish evil men with their black poison touch.
In the 70s, he's using horrific CGI to jump through the trees in some weird spider S&M gear. And 30 years later, he's dressed like some SoCal hipster yoga instructor? What? Are you not going to address this? We're just going to pretend that, you know what, fuck it. If you truly want to know how bad this movie is, all you have to do is watch the last scene of the movie.
Oh yeah?
It is the perfect encapsulation of its awfulness, with Cassie sitting in her Professor X-style wheelchair, wearing the second dumbest looking glasses in the movie, predicting Kung Pao chicken and sneezes.
But we didn't
Kung
know.
Pao chicken is perfect. Bless you, Anya.
And then showing us a glimpse of her future team of Spider-Women, and the absolute dumbest glasses in the movie. Yeah, don't bother telling us how the girls became Spider-Women. Nobody is interested in that shit. Fuck! I hate this fucking movie. I fucking hate it. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. Madam Web is an origin story that isn't allowed to be an origin story. It was kneecapped during production, and there wasn't anything anyone involved could do about it. I normally get angry after watching a movie that's this awful.
Oh. Serious.
I mean, not really angry, but you know what I mean. But this time I was just sad. I felt bad for everyone. It was just depressing.
Nothing I didn't already know.
Anyway, that's all I've got. I could say more, but at a certain point, hating on this movie is like Mike Tyson beating the shit out of a crippled child who's been abandoned by their parents and suffers chronic fits of dullness. It's funny for a few seconds, and then it's just hard to watch.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Madam Web is a truly terrible movie.